One of the problems with shooting video is that you tend to shoot too much. Now, I know some of these were shot as an exercise to give you examples of depth of field and misframing, but I still have the problem of 43 shots and I need to get it down into one for the blog. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through each image. I'll talk through some of the issues, but we're going to use what's called a star rating. And you can use your keyboard for rating each of the images from 1 to 5 or 0, which is no star. So what we're going to do is just go through the images one by one, and I'll talk you through some of the rationale as for why I'm either giving it a no star or a 1 star. We spoke about this in class yesterday. It's clearly a picnic table. The umbrella, this shape, I'll just talk about shape, is very strong, very distracting, probably the strongest part of the image, so clearly that's going to be a problem. I can crop the image, but I'm still very conscious about this here. It's very much a picnic table, so that would be rated at 0, or you don't have to rate it at all. Okay, same problem, background, very fussy, very distracting, again the strong shape, and it's very clear it's a picnic table, it's out in a back garden, so not going to look at that one. We have the chairs in the background. Focus appears to be here. I think it should be probably here, so it doesn't make sense that these are soft and these two are sharp. The background is very distracting. I can crop that, it's not too bad, but it's not going to be used, so I leave it unrated or 0. This is sharp here, unsharp here. You expect to see that as being sharp. It appears to be the face looking out at you, but this is really distracting. The wall, although it's a slightly off-white, but you can see these lines because they're such a strong shape and dominant in frame. It's just unacceptable. I can crop this out, but we still have these lines. The other issue is this here. I'll just go to 1 to 1. So you can see where focus is here, not in the center, but this area here, even if it was sharp and if I did want to use it, I have a problem here with the funnel, which is quite an important feature of this toy, but the chair, and this particularly, is a very strong shape. If you squint your eyes, you'll see it. Okay, squint your eyes and look, and you can see this dark line here. So that for me would be unacceptable, and I wouldn't rate that one. Same problem, not going to rate that one. Okay, slightly better. Focus appears to be here, but this still appears to be reasonably sharp, but this is very much a picnic chair. We're not going to use that. Slightly better, but no. Okay, now this was the depth of field exercise. I might get something for the blog, and we possibly could. I am going to use the square format, so I possibly could use that, so I'm going to rate it at 1. And you can see the 1 star is down here now. Okay, so I'll use the arrow keys now just to go through them. This was the depth of field exercise. This was at 2.5. So I'm going to increase the depth of field, and the Irish Times in the background is going to appear. So clearly when I get to the greater depth of field, it will be unacceptable. Same framing. Text in the Irish Times is beginning to appear. I don't think I'll use it, so I'll keep going. Not going to use that. Moving up, F11, 8, and sorry, just go back. That was F29, very long shutter speed. The camera was on a tripod, and you can see the difference in depth of field. Okay, kind of interesting, but focus looks to be here and not here, and you'd expect it to be on the face. Again, because I'm using a shallow depth of field, I don't want the background, but now the disadvantage is that I have to be absolutely critical with the focus, and it needs to be here, not here. You can see how soft it is. Let's just look at it in there. Very soft, and you can see the difference. So unacceptable. We're not going to publish that one. Okay, looks better. The reflection is good, so I'll make that a 1 star. Okay, this was to give you an idea of wide angle versus a long lens or telephoto lens, so this was never intended for use. This was for demo purposes, so we're not going to use that. Okay, kind of okay, looks sharp, so we'll give that a 1. Okay, slightly better framing, fills the frame more, we'll have to do less of a blow up, so give it 1. Never going to be published, don't rate it, don't rate it. It's not too bad, but I'm still conscious of here, of it being a tabletop, and I wouldn't use it. Focus again is soft on the face, so we're not going to use that one. Okay, now I'm losing the mesh of the tabletop. The reflection is good, background is okay, and that's a very definite 1. This was part of an exercise to show you depth of field. You can see the focus is here, there's a rule, and you'll see the depth of field increase distance wise. So when I get to the end of around f29, you can see that more or less this is all now sharp and focused because I've increased depth of field, but it's not usable for this exercise of choosing one for the blog. Different location, way too soft, never going to be selected. Not too bad, but again the face is soft, not going to be selected. That looks sharp enough, but I'm shooting into light, so the contrast ratio between the sun, this is looking south, and the shadow area is too much. So if I increase the exposure in this, I'll blow out what's called blowout. It'll be pure white and just won't work very well, so not going to be selected. Soft, not going to be selected. Soft, not going to be selected. Soft again. Okay, now again it's sharp, but we have a problem here, so I don't think I'll be using that one. Okay, so I've used flash or expose differently for here, so it's usable. It could be cropped, so I'll make it a 1 and you'll see the process I go through. Soft, not going to be selected. Too dark, and again contrast ratio too much, not going to be selected. Okay, might get away with that. I'll make it a 1. That's sharp, make it a 1, and that looks okay, so make it a 1. So now what I'm going to do is go down to the bottom right hand corner and you'll see filters off. I'm going to go to rated. So anything now rated with 1 star is going to show on in my grid mode. So I've gone from 43 down to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I still have another stage to go through, and I'll start rating them as 2 star. So let's look at them again, perhaps in the grid mode. So I select all, that's Command A, and go to grid mode. Okay, we don't want the interface here, it's taking up too much room, so Shift Tab gets rid of it. We'll turn off the lights, L for lights, so we'll get rid of it. So this here now, when you start comparing it, it's very fussy. It'll never be selected, it'll never go into a 2. Okay, so what we have really between these 4 here is really what we're talking about. Okay, reflection is good, that's a distraction. I am going to use the square format, a bit too far away, so I'm going to close that one off. So it's down between that, and that. This one here, the reflection is just a little bit close to the edge. I don't have much of an option with it, so I'm not going to select that. So it's down to these 2. Not sure, so I'll give them both 2 each, so they're both now rated at 2. It'll separate them from the 1 star. Okay, so I am going to look at that one, rate that 2. It's kind of nice. Much the same. That could be a bit fussy and obvious that it's a 3, so I'm going to get rid of it. Purely subjective, not too keen on the green. It does make it look like a garden wall, so I'll lose that. So that one is 2, and that one is 2. So now I'm going to start rating them as 3, whichever one I think is best. Not too keen on this. The angle is good. Like this slightly lower. Don't like this here. I think it's a bit of a problem. I think there's more of a shape here, and the angle of the train I'm seeing more of the face. So I'm going to rate this as 3 and close that one off. Okay, so now it's between these two. Much of a muchness. The contrast ratio between the darker and the sky could be a problem, and I think it could blow out on me, what's called blow out. So I'll leave that at 2 and give that 3. So come back to the interface, turn on the lights, and now I see what I've rated by 3, and it leaves me with 2. So I really have an either or situation. I'm not going to make a final selection yet, so I'm going to go into the develop mode. So here's the one on the wall. I'll just select it. So what we're going to do is make it into a square. So I go to the crop tool. Now if this is locked, I can drag these to any shape or any way I like. That can be great fun, but the problem on a blog is it can lead to inconsistency of images, and that can be a bit distracting, particularly when it's one project. So what we're going to do is lock it, click it. We go to 1 to 1, so it's square. Now because it's locked, even if I pull it in from the side, it keeps the aspect ratio of square. Okay, I'm going to, now I know I'm doing a bit of a crop here. Put that about 1/3, that strong line there. Hit return, and that's what it looks like. It's just a little bit too bright, so just bring it down just a little bit, and we'll have a similar one here. So go to the crop tool, lock it, 1 to 1, and put the face about 1/3, and that's what it looks like. So select the 2 of them, go back into the library mode, and we're still in the survey mode, and shift tab to get rid of the interface, turn off the lights. So at the moment we're on 3-star. So now I can compare. I've gone from 43 down to 2. This one here just looks a bit softer. I like the reflection. This here I think will be a problem. It's blowing out. So I'm going to reject that one, and there's my selection. So bring back the interface, turn on the lights, and go to the develop mode. So I'm just going to make some minor adjustments to this image. It doesn't need that much. Normally I prefer my images to be slightly darker from the bottom, so we're going to use a graduated filter, which is this tool here. When we click it, we see we have an interface opens up, a dialog box, and what we're going to do is we're going to bring the cursor to the bottom of frame, hold down shift, it's the one with the arrow, click shift and click and drag. That restrains the movement of the graduated filter to horizontal or vertical. Now over here in exposure, I can make it brighter, which I wouldn't want. Double click brings it back to 0 where it was, neutral. I'm just going to darken it in slightly. Okay. Not too keen on this here. I think it's a bit of a problem, so I'm just going to look and see if I can get rid of that without losing too much. I want that about 1/3 of frame, so I'm just cropping it a little bit. Yeah, it's better. Okay, in the basic tool I have exposure. Okay, we're just going to make a minor adjustment here as well. I'm going to bring up the clarity, give it a bit of punch, but not too much. Okay, you can see what's happening in the shadows. in particular, but not too much. I'm going to bring up the vibrance just a little bit, so it gives it a stronger blue, stronger red. I rarely use the saturation. I've shot these in JPEG, but for those of you who shoot in RAW, I will talk about this particular tool next week in class. It doesn't really make an awful lot of difference. I shot with a Nikon. It's not going to make an awful lot of difference. I'll talk about this later. Okay. I am going to put a bit of vignetting around it as well. So vignetting is this tool in Effects. So it gives you that tool, which you'd never use. It looks like a memorial card or something, or a wedding invitation, and that's way too much. Okay, so you need to go easy on the effects. So bring it back to 0 and just bring it in ever so slightly. And to see the image, I'm just going to get rid of the interface, hit L, and that's okay. Now focus is still here, but we're seeing the image very large at the moment. When it's on the blog, it won't be as obvious, but I can add a little bit of sharpness. In fact, I can brush on sharpness. So there's my brush tool up here. I can use the square the square brackets on the keyboard will make that smaller or make it larger. So I want it small. I want to just sharpen this here. This dialog box is opened, so I'm just going to brush that in, and you'll see what happens here. Sharpen, softer. So I'm just going to bring it up a bit. The flow is a bit slow. Just sharpens that in a little bit more. And I'm going to bring up the clarity. You can see what's happening there. Bringing up the clarity just gives the impression of sharpening it. Again, be careful of that. So at the moment, that's what the image is going to look like. We'll get rid of the interface, hit L for lights, and we've gone from 43 down to 1, and that's now ready for publishing on the blog. Okay, hope this is useful. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in class.